Well, hey there, everybody. It's Mrs. Acero here with another First Chapter Friday read. I'm very happy to bring you this story as part of my summer reading selection. I will tell you it is a bit sad, but ultimately filled with hope and themes of friendship and love. It really is a beautiful novel, and it is Summerlost by Ally Condie. Let's take a listen to what it's about before we begin. It's been a year since the devastating car accident that killed Cedar's father and younger brother, Ben. But now Cedar and what's left of her family are spending the summer in her mother's hometown of Iron Creek and trying to mend their broken pieces. Memories surround Cedar, including strange gifts that begin to appear in the night, the type of small household items her brother Ben used to collect. Until one day, a boy named Leo, dressed in costume, rides by on his bike, and everything about Cedar's summer changes. Soon, Cedar not only has a job working at the renowned Summerlost Theater Festival, but also a growing friendship with Leo that will blossom as they piece together clues about the short and tragic life of one of Iron Creek's most famous residents. So you can see that it's going to be of a serious nature, but really a beautiful story. Before we get into the first chapter, I want to make sure that you grab your First Chapter Friday freebie that you can find in the video description. It's a great way for you to keep track of books that you hear about and maybe stick it in your reader's notebook so that when you need a new read, you have something to reference. Okay, so go ahead and grab that if you haven't. Let's get into chapter 1. And because in this story they're working at a theater festival, they divide the book into not only chapters, but into acts. Because if you go to a play, the parts of a play are called acts. So we're in Act 1 and Chapter 1. Our new house had a blue door. The rest of the house was painted white and shingled gray. Isn't it beautiful? My mother asked. She climbed out of the car first, and then my younger brother, Miles, and then me. Don't you think this is the perfect place to end summer? Mom wanted to know. We were spending the rest of the summer in Iron Creek, a small town in a high desert, the kind with pine trees and snow in the winter. It got hot in the day and cold at night. When a thunderstorm, all black and gray and blue, did come rolling in, you could see it a mile away. I knew that the stars would come out and rain would fall, and that the days would be hot and long. I knew I'd make sandwiches for Miles and wash dishes for my mom. I knew I would do all of that, and summer would be the same and never the same. Last summer, we had a dad and a brother, and then they were gone. We did not see it coming. Now, I know this is a First Chapter Friday selection. However, the chapter is really short, so I'm going to get into Chapter 2 as well. One of the things Mile and I whisper worried about at night was that our mom could fall in love again. It didn't seem like it would happen because she'd loved my father so much, but we had learned from the accident that anything could happen. Anything bad, anyway. Mom didn't end up falling in love with a person, but she did fall in love with a house. We were in Iron Creek in June visiting our grandparents, my mom's parents, when she saw the for sale sign while she was out for a drive. She came home and whispered to Gram and Papa, and then they went with her to see the house while Miles and I stayed with our Uncle Nick and his wife. 2 weeks later, Mom used some of the money from when my dad died, the life insurance money, to buy the house. Since she's a teacher and didn't have to go back to work until the end of August, she decided we would spend the rest of the summer in Iron Creek and all the summers after that. She planned to rent out the house to college students during the school year. We weren't really rich enough to have two houses. It will be good for us to be around family more, she said. Next summer, we can stay for the whole time. We didn't fight her about it. We liked our grandparents. We liked our uncle and our aunt. They had known our dad and our brother Ben. They had some of the same memories we did. Sometimes they even brought things up like, remember when your dad went out in the kayak at Aspen Lake and he flipped over and we had to save him in our paddle boat? And we would all start laughing because we had the same picture in our minds. My dad with his sunglasses dangling from one ear and his hair all wet. And they knew that Ben's favorite kind of ice cream wasn't ice cream at all. It was rainbow sherbet, and he always ate green first. And so when I saw it in my grandparents' freezer once and I started crying, they didn't even ask why. And I think I saw my Uncle Nick, my mom's brother, crying too. Well, Mom said, let's go inside and choose rooms before we start unpacking. Me first, said Miles. They went in the house and I sat down on the steps. The wind came through the streets, which were very old and very tall. I heard an ice cream truck a few streets over and kids playing in other yards. And then a boy rode past on a bike. The boy wore old clothes, not worn out, old-fashioned. He was dressed like a peasant. He had on a ruffly blouse and pants that ended right under his knees and a hat with a feather, and he was my age. He didn't glance over at me. He looked happy. Sad, I thought. That's so sad. He's weird and he doesn't even know it. Actually, it's better not to know it. My brother Ben was different, and he knew. The trees sounded loud as a waterfall above me. We're so lucky, Mom kept telling us when she bought the house. The trees on the property have been there for 50 years. They're beautiful. Not many like them in the whole town. I think she noticed the trees because my dad always loved trees. We bought the house from a family who had lived in Iron Creek for generations, the Wainwrights. The kids had all moved away, but one of them came back to sell the house when his mother died. He didn't want to live in it, but he was also kind of weird about selling it. When he ran into my mother at the realtor's office, he told her, "It will always be the Wainwright home." My mother said she nodded at him like she agreed, but she didn't waste any time having the velvety green carpet torn up and the hardwood floors underneath sanded and varnished. "I want the heart and the bones to stay the same," she said. "Anything else, we can change. We live here now." She also had the front door painted blue. I heard the blue front door open behind me and Mom came out. "Hey, Cedar," she said. "Hey." Miles picked his room, Mom said. "There are still two left. Want to go next?" Shouldn't you go next? I wanted to ask, but it didn't matter. Her room could be as small as ours now because she didn't have to share. "Sure," I said, because I knew she wanted me to say sure. Inside, the house was empty, no furniture yet. Living room to the right, stairs in front of me. "Want to look around downstairs first?" Mom asked, because Miles and I hadn't spent time here yet. I shook my head and started climbing. When I got to the top of the steps, I stopped. "Isn't it fun?" she asked. "I left these the way they were. I couldn't help it." Each bedroom door was painted a different color. One yellow, one purple, one green. The bathroom door was painted red. Are the rooms inside the same colors? I asked. No, she said, only the doors. Each room has something special about it, though. Right then, the green door opened. I picked this one, Miles said, sticking his head out. It has a big, big closet, like a hideout for me. Miles was 8, young enough to still care about hideouts. So green is gone, Mom said. I didn't care which room I had, but I knew she wanted me to pick. I'll do this one, I said, pointing to the purple door, the end of the hall. You can check them both first, Mom said. No, I said, I'm fine unless you wanted purple. I like them both, Mom said. The yellow room has a window seat. The purple room has a diamond window. That settled it. I knew Mom had always liked window seats, and our real house up in the suburb of Salt Lake City, 4 hours away, was newish and beige and had no window seats anywhere. Purple, I said. It's like a rainbow up here. That's what made me want to paint the front door blue, Mom said. It was the only color that was missing. Lots of colors were missing: pink, orange, brown, gray. But I didn't say that. Okay, we're going to do 2 more chapters because they're really short. Chapter 3. It turned out that a diamond window seat was not a window shaped like a diamond, which is what I assumed it would be. It was a big regular shaped window that opened outward, but instead of having 2 big panes of glass, it had a lot of small panes of glass, and those were diamond shaped. I couldn't see out clearly because of all the shapes, and that bugged me, so I opened up the window. The wind in the trees was relentless. It sounded like an ocean outside my window, so I closed it again. Because of that stupid window, it felt like the house was a fly with those eyes that have a million parts, and it was looking at me. I'd picked the wrong room. I should have done yellow. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something move, something big and black outside my window. It was in the tree. I took a step closer and then closer again. The thing stretched its wings and settled. I could see that much, even though the window made it smeary and bleary and in diamonds. I took another step. I wanted to open the window to see what the thing was, but I also didn't want it to fly in. Another step. The thing outside the window turned its head. The purple door slammed open behind me, and I spun around to see Miles. Come on, he said. Gran and Papa and Uncle Nick and Aunt Kate are here. They're going to help us unpack. I looked back at the window, but this time it only showed me trees. Something had looked away. Okay, last one, chapter 4. What room would Ben have picked? Miles asked at breakfast the next day. Ben loved blue. He would have picked blue for sure, but there was no blue room. And then I knew the real reason we had a blue front door. Maybe mine, I said. Purple is closest to blue. Maybe not to Ben, Miles said, and he was right. You could never be sure how Ben would see things. He had his own kind of logic. We were getting better at talking about Ben, but not much. Better because we did talk about him, but also there was so much more to say, and we were all still too fragile to say it. After lunch, I sat outside and I saw the boy on the bike ride by again, and he didn't see me that time either. And he still had on the same clothes, and he still looked happy. Next day, same thing all over again. Boy, bike, clothes, happy. In my family, we never called people names because sometimes people used to call Ben names, and we all hated that. When he was younger, he didn't notice so much, but when he was 9, the year he died, he noticed every single time. You'd see his eyes flicker. He'd take it in. And then who knew what he'd do with it or how it made him feel? Here is something bad about me. I call people names in my head sometimes. I don't do it to be mean. I do it to label. But I know names to label are bad too. Names to be mean are worse, but both are bad. Here's the name I called the boy in my head, Nerd on a Bike. And I'm going to stop there. I hope that you'll feel the way that I do about character Cedar and how much you care about her and want her to get through this summer and kind of mend herself as best as she can after such a tragedy. But I'm telling you, it's filled with hope and it's filled with humor, and it's a book that I believe you will all enjoy. So thank you for joining me here on First Chapter Friday. If you have any suggestions of books that you would like to see featured, I would love it if you would leave it in the comments section. Until then, happy reading, and I'll see you next Friday.